So the last two things we have for section one, guys, is these here, these practice sets, and then we're going to do the exit ticket. So when we look at this here, whenever we look at a science passage, again, we're looking for the key terms, our road signs, and finding those. And we can kind of skim through this and figure out what we're talking about. But if we look at the first question here, about how many milliliters did the brass wire stretch at 60 degrees Celsius? So our kind of key words or terms we're looking for is brass wire. What else are we looking at? What else kind of key terms do we have for this here? 60 degrees Celsius. Anything else? Millimeters. So these three terms are what we're looking for. So if we look back at the charts and graphs, which one of these is dealing with the brass wire? The left one. Okay, so that's one of our piece of information. So any of the graphs that have this kind of symbol here. So we're looking at this equation here. What else did we look at? What else did it tell us? 60 degrees Celsius. So this here. And where do they cross? So how far did it stretch? Because is it exactly 1 point? Because this dotted line is 1, and it's just above it, isn't it? So it's not 1, it is C, 1.1. It's just above it. And the charts on this here are a little fuzzy, but it's easier to see, especially, I think, on the note sheet itself. Now let's look at the second one. Which of the following wires expanded the least at 80 degrees Celsius? So what are our kind of key terms? So expanded the least at 80 degrees Celsius, yes? And what are we looking for? Brass, nickel, copper, and aluminum. So we're still looking back at this first one here. So we're looking at 80 degrees Celsius. So which one of the lines increased the least? Because iron is not one of them. The next one is nickel. Is nickel one of our options?
Yes.
So the correct answer is
Nickel.
nickel. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Which liquid expanded by less than 1 milliliter at 50 degrees Celsius? Is the question. So what are our kind of key terms?
1 milliliter at 80 Celsius.
Expanded. Expanded less than. So we're looking at what? Ethyl, water, water and salt only, water, salt, and glycol. So we're looking at the other one. And our key terms for less than 1 milliliter at 50 degrees Celsius.
Water. All of it.
So 50 degrees Celsius and less than.
Water.
So what's the only one that's above it?
Salt water. Ethanol.
Ethanol's the only one above it, right?
Yeah.
Because all the ones that are less than it,
The other one.
water, salt water, and glycol.
It's the water, salt water, glycerol.
Glycerol. So D. Question 4. What was the largest amount of expansion measured on a figure in wire 1? In figure 1? Measured.
Wire and 2.5.
So figure 1. So if we look at figure 1, we're trying to see which one expanded the most. aluminum at 2 point, well, it's above 2.5, isn't it?
Yeah, so like 2.2, 2.7.
So we have 2.7 or 3, yes?
Yeah, it's closer to 2.7.
Because 3.0 actually has a spot on the graph, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. 2.5.
So it's above 2.5, but it's not to 3, so it is 2.7. Last question for this passage here, number 5. What was the smallest amount of volume expansion measured for a liquid at 60 degrees Celsius? And smallest. And we're talking about volume expansion, yes?
Yes.
So we're looking at figure 2, because figure 1 is talking about a wire being extended, millimeters.
Water.
So we're looking at 50 degrees Celsius, or not 50, 60,
Oh, 60.
because we're looking at 60 degrees Celsius.
So it's 0.
Because this is the smallest one, yes?
Yeah.
And the only one that's below 0.5 is 0.4. Questions on this here? Did we need any real knowledge of any of this to answer these questions? And a lot of the science test is going to be this here. It's more of, can you read a chart? Can you read a graph? Can you expand from the information given? We'll look at one more of these here. So if we look at this here, we have a table talking about native species, extinct, endangered, vulnerable, rare, and total. Then we also have another table talking about regions, density, population size, area, density, population size, and an average population figure for regions. So if we look at question number 6, based on table 1, how many endangered freshwater fish species were tallied for Japan? Well, endangered freshwater fish, Japan, table 1. So those are our 3 pieces of information. So we're going to look back at table 1. So endangered. So endangered freshwater fish is here. Endangered is here. A little far. So we have 16, yes? And when we're talking about Japan, scientists categorize Japan's native species. So all of these are from Japan. So we do have 16, yes? Freshwater fish for Japan. So based on the number, G. So the correct answer is G. Let's look at the next one. In figure 1, which of the following regions does the population of Amami rabbits not decrease from 1993 to 1994 to 2002 to 2003?
So
2 to 2003. What else is going to be important? In figure 1. So we're looking in figure 1 for the rabbits between 93. So let's look back at figure 1. So table 1. So figure 1 is this chart here. Average population. So if we're looking at this here, we're trying to see which one does not decrease. So from 93, so the one shaded to the one not shaded. So C, it decreases. D, decreases. E, it G, and that stays the same. So out of all of our answer choices, well, we have B, C, D, and F. So the only one that actually increases out of our choices is, because if E was there, that would be one where it increased, but E wasn't one of our choices. Questions on this here? Let's look at the next one. In Table 1, the number of endangered and vulnerable species was the same for which of the following groups? So we're looking at Table 1, endangered and vulnerable, for them being the same. So if we go to Table 1, so we're looking at endangered and invulnerable. These two here, we're looking for where they are the same. Where are they the same? Birds. So the correct answer is G. 2 left. Question number 9. According to Table 1, how many invertebrates that did not fit into the insects, land, freshwater, decapods, and land freshwater snail categories are listed as vulnerable? So what are we looking at? Invertebrates that did not fit into insects, freshwater, in these categories. So, again, so we're looking at Table 1. Table 1, so we're down here. So insects, land, freshwater, snails, and our other category. Now for number 9, so how many invertebrates that did not fit into insects, land, freshwater decapods, land, freshwater snails? So, and are vulnerable. So vulnerable is the third category. So we have this here, yes?
Yes.
So there's how many total? So how many were insect?
15.
How many were land, freshwater?
7.
So how many did not fit in the other 3? Because 3 fits into other, because it's asking how many invertebrates that did not fit into insects, land, freshwater, and land, freshwater. So for decapods and snails, well, that would be the other group, which tells us that this is A, 3. Question number 10, the last one. So figure 1 is going to be one of our important pieces of information. The mammy rabbits and C. So based on figure 1, what was the population of mammy rabbits in region C in 1993 to 94? So we have this here, mammy rabbits C 93 to 94, and that is J, because it looks like 600, yes?
Yeah.
Well, the only answer that fits that is
620.
Questions on any of this here? So